We have breaking news all over the place tonight from all over the globe. 3 American hostages, long held captive in North Korea, have officially been returned safe and sound to our country, the United States. And now a date and location have been set for President Trump's historic summit with Kim Jong-un. That's right, little rocket man. This is a very proud moment for this country, but for some Democrats, other people in the media, well, apparently they don't care less. Now, in a few moments, we're going to show you just how petulant and petty the left in America really is. And also tonight, we're monitoring a very serious situation out of the Middle East. Today, Israel launched a large-scale aerial assault against multiple Iranian targets inside of Syria. Now, this, of course, after the Israeli Defense Forces say that Iran fired over a dozen missiles into the Golan Heights. We'll bring you the very latest on this very tense situation. Plus, President Trump just wrapped up a rally in Indiana. We have the highlights. We also have so much news out of the deep state to bring you an unholy alliance between Mueller and Comey. Vice President Pence also calling for Mueller to wrap up this witch hunt. And finally, Vice President Dick Cheney, he came out swinging in defense of Gina Haspel and enhanced interrogation programs that she oversaw. He was right. We're going to show you all this and more in tonight's very important, we're glad you're with us, breaking news opening monologue. All right, the president just wrapped up a huge, raucous, fun rally in Indiana. We'll bring you all the highlights throughout the show. Here's just a small sample of what went down. Take a look.
If we would have told you during the campaign that we would create 3.3 million jobs in the short time, everybody back there, the fake news media, look at all of them. They're fake news. Everybody back there would have said, can you imagine? He's saying we're going to create 3.3 million. Can you believe it? And you have to work every day between now and November to elect more Republicans so that we continue making America great again. And by the way, this is the first for Indiana. Our new slogan for 2020, you know what it is? Keep America great.
All right, we're going to have more on the president's rally in just a moment. But first, a great day for this country and our fellow countrymen. Why? Because early this morning, a plane carrying 3 of our fellow Americans who had been held hostage in North Korea for months, they touched down in Joint Base Andrews. Our prayers were answered. These 3 men came back in good health, and we should all be proud of the outstanding work this country did to bring our fellow Americans home. President Trump, he met the 3 former hostages on the tarmac and delivered these hopeful remarks about 3 a.m. in the morning last night.
We want to thank Kim Jong-un, who really was excellent to these 3 incredible people. They are really 3 incredible people. And the fact that we were able to get them out so soon was really a tribute to a lot of things, including a certain process that's taking place right now. And that process is very important. So we will see what happens. We have a meeting scheduled in a very short period of time. You'll be hearing about it soon. We have the location set, and we will see if we can do something that people did not think was going to happen for many, many years, and a lot of bad things could have happened in between.
Now, this was a very important diplomatic victory. We know the danger that these 3 Americans faced because we saw what happened to Otto Warmbier. Remember, he was the American college student. He was held captive in North Korea, which ultimately caused his horrific death. And the Warmbier family, they remain in our prayers tonight. And tonight we have a reason to feel hopeful and proud. 3 American lives were likely saved, and we didn't have to bribe Kim Jong-un or send pallets of cash to North Korea to get the job done. But some of the mainstream media, as corrupt as they are, they barely yawned today. The New York Times initially buried the story. The ABC News, well, they used the historic of development to criticize President Trump on Iran. Then there's, of course, the liberal senator from New York, Chucky Schumer. He was less than pleased. Really? 3 Americans saved back home? You're not pleased? You're not happy? Take a look at this.
The exaltation by the president and others of the greatness of North Korea doing this evades me. We can't be fooled into giving the North Korean regime credit for returning Americans that never should have been detained in the first place. American citizens are not diplomatic bargaining chips. Their release should not be exalted, it should be expected. It is no great accomplishment of Kim Jong-un to do this. And when the president does it, he weakens American foreign policy and puts Americans at risk around the world.
Amazing about this, a friend of mine, he's a great doctor, he's a brain surgeon, talking about this earlier, and he said, what a jerk. And this comes from one of the smartest, brightest brain surgeons in the world. Pete, you're right. All right, this is one sad case of Trump derangement syndrome. Truckee, it's okay to be proud of your country. Lives were saved. And while Schumer is whining, President Trump is continuing his push for peace, ultimately in the Korean Peninsula. Today, he made an important announcement. He tweeted, quote, the highly anticipated meeting between Kim Jong-un and myself will take place in Singapore on June the 12th. We will both try to make it a very special moment for world peace. And of course, we can't predict the future. And Kim Jong-un is, frankly, an untrustworthy, unpredictable despot. But look where we are now. Given all of North Korea's concessions, we have reason to be cautiously optimistic tonight. As the Korean Peninsula is now progressing towards peace, tensions in the Middle East, they're rising. As we reported to you last night, the Israeli Defense Forces announced that Iran, in fact, fired over a dozen missiles from Syria into Israel from their installations in Syria. No casualties, thankfully, were reported. The Iron Dome intercepted many of these projectiles. And just hours ago, Israel rightfully responding in a massive way, launching a full-scale aerial attack against Iran's forces in Syria, and they took out dozens of military sites, anti-aircraft batteries, and reportedly killing dozens of those that are committing these acts of terror. And unlike many countries, Israel can never put their guard down. They don't have that luxury. When it rains on Israel, there will be a flood on Israel's enemies. Now, this conflict with Iran is no different. In fact, Iran's involvement in proxy wars all over the Middle East has long been a threat to the security and the peace of the Israeli people and, of course, American troops that are stationed in Syria, Iraq, and elsewhere. You have the mullahs of Iran have long been chanting death to America, death to Israel, burning our flag, burning their flag, and they back up those words by what? Funding the most radical terrorists in the world, sending trained fighters all over the Middle East to kill our soldiers in Iraq and our ally soldiers. This is a chief reason for the current military strikes in Syria and likely played a very key role in President Trump's right decision to pull out of that horrific Iranian deal. Now, just a few moments ago, the president wrapped up this rally in Indiana. He spoke about Iran and North Korea and so much more. Take a look.
And on June 12th, in Singapore, I'll be meeting with Kim Jong-un to pursue a future of peace and security for the world, for the whole world. But you remember everybody in the fake news where they were saying, he's going to get us into a nuclear war. He's going to get us into a nuclear war. And you know what gets you into nuclear wars? And you know what gets you into other wars? Weakness. Weakness. I think it's going to be a very big success. But my attitude is, and if it isn't, it isn't. Okay? If it isn't, it isn't. But, and you have to have that because you don't know. We're not going to be walked into an Iran deal where the negotiator, John Kerry, refused to leave the table. Obama, President Obama, paid $1.8 billion for hostages. You, not me, you, last night you saw it. And again, it's leading to some very big things. And I think that Kim Jong-un did a great service to himself, to his country by doing this. But those hostages came out with respect. We didn't pay for them. We're going to set the table. We're going to make a great deal for the world, for North Korea, for South Korea, for Japan, for China.
Now, while the president is touting some of the very key developments on the world stage, the Vice President Mike Pence, he is now backing him up right here at home. During an interview earlier today, the Vice President told ABC that it's time for Mueller's witch hunt, and I agree completely, to come to an end. Take a look.
Our administration has been fully cooperating with the special counsel.
Do you think his investigation is a hoax?
And will continue to. What I think is that it's been about a year since this investigation began. Our administration has provided over 1 million documents. We've fully cooperated in it. And in the interest of the country, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Time to wrap it up. I agree. And meanwhile, according to some stellar reporting, again from our own Sarah Carter, we know that the fired former FBI Director James Comey, the one Rod Rosenstein said to fire, he actually consulted with Team Mueller before giving any testimony to Congress about its inquiry into Russia. Can anyone say collusion or collaboration inappropriate? Now, Judicial Watch has actually acquired the emails that show coordination in these efforts between the Office of Special Counsel and the disgraced former FBI director. In other words, you have deep state news here. Remember last night when we reported the meeting between Rod Rosenstein, Intel Committee Chair Devin Nunes, and Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy? Well, that meeting was classified, but it was supposed to address the DOJ's ongoing stonewalling, slow walking of documents that have been subpoenaed by Congress. And then they give the phony redactions. And then they delay. And then, they say no. But according to a brand new article from Sarah Carter, this could be just an effort to buy time for Sessions and Rosenstein. We'll have more on this later in the show. This stuff is not funny. The American people have a right to know. The Constitution gives Congress that oversight responsibility. Make no mistakes. We on this program, we will hold the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, and anyone else actively obstructing constitutional congressional oversight accountable. And finally tonight, we have new developments surrounding the confirmation process of President Trump's pick to head the CIA. Her name, you see her right there, an amazing appearance before Congress, Gina Haspel. Now, Democrats are opposing her because they think the enhanced interrogation program she oversaw was too tough on terrorists like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the guy that was the mastermind behind 9/11. Former Vice President Dick Cheney, he's not buying it. He's dead on accurate. Earlier today, he came out swinging. Good for the former Vice President. Watch this.
What we did was, in fact, consistent with our fundamental statutes and agreements that were in place, and it worked. I think what we did helped ultimately produce the intelligence we needed to be able to get bin Laden. If it were my call, I would not discontinue those programs. I'd have them active and ready to go. You tell me that the only method we have is please, pretty please, tell us what you know. Well, I don't buy that, and I think the techniques we used were not tortured. So now people want to go back and try to rewrite history. But if it were my call, I'd do it again.
Of course, the Vice President, Dick Cheney, is right. The interrogation of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, it led to the Courier. That Courier led us to where Osama bin Laden was. It is time for Democratic senators to put the safety of you, the American people, ahead of their personal hatred of President Trump. We need to confirm people, heroes like Gina Haspel, as soon as possible. Without a doubt, she is an American hero. She is the right choice to lead the CIA. By the way, Claire McCaskill, where are you? Heidi Heitkamp, where are you on this? We need a strong CIA, one that does not use the weapons of intelligence against the American people, like we have been exposing on this program. Joining us now, NRA TV contributor Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor Daniel Hoffman, Fox News national security strategist Dr. Sebastian Gorka. We'll start with you, Danielle Hoffman, tonight. I interviewed Jose Rodriguez. He was there. I don't like airing the tape anymore because I've aired it the last 2 nights, and I look 30 pounds skinnier. But in all seriousness, he was there. The information that led to the Courier, that led to bin Laden, came from that enhanced interrogation. We wouldn't have gotten bin Laden without those techniques, which were medically supervised at the highest degree of safety, although they didn't know it.
Right, Sean. There's a couple of points here that I would highlight. First of all, it's an uncomfortable truth for those who didn't support the program and don't today that, yes, it actually did work. You can debate the morals and the ethics of the program, but it did work. We did obtain significant intelligence, not just on finding bin Laden, but other al-Qaeda operatives as well, and we stopped threats against our nation. Could you imagine if we had these techniques and they were approved and we had someone in detention who knew about a threat and an attack took place, and afterwards, post-mortem, we were asked if we did all that we could and used all of our capabilities, and we replied that we did not? I think those same congressmen who were grilling Gina Haspel would have confronted us over dereliction of duty.
Let me go to Dr. Gorka. Dr. Gorka, this is one of the most important issues that's facing this country. And look, it was the law at the time. Also, it was under the highest level of medical supervision. We are not, as some of these Democratic senators suggest, we are not the enemy. Now, they might not have known that it was medically supervised, but they didn't need to know that. But in the aftermath of 3,000 Americans killed, We needed information about what else might be coming, what dangers exist, and I think she and others did America a great service here.
This woman is a patriot and a 30-year-plus veteran of the intelligence community. Personally, and